What's happening, everybody? MG here. MGCovers bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video is when to take the points and when to play the money line in college basketball and NBA. Get asked this question a ton. We're going to cover it today. Make it very simple for you. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. If you want to learn about sports betting, there is a ton of information. If you just subscribe to the channel, binge watch all my videos, you will improve your sports handicapping. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's MGCovers, covers spelled with a Z. I give out a ton of content there for free, so you get a lot of value simply by following me there. Let's dive into this video. Now, again, I get asked this question a lot. I think this is important concept to grasp. First off, number one, regardless of the sport you wager on, you have to know the statistical properties of that sport. Next question you're going to ask, what are statistical properties? They're facts about that sport. For example, in NFL, underdogs cover more than favorites. So if you play majority of favorites in NFL, you're going to lose long term. However, in NHL, favorites win a majority of the time. So if all you play are dogs, then you're going to lose. So it's very important to understand statistical properties, because if you don't, then it's very difficult to be profitable in that sport long term. So a statistical property of college basketball is the average margin of victory in college basketball and NBA is 11 points. So that is the average. Another word for average is mean, M-E-A-N. It's a math term. And you guys have heard me talk about, I think I did this in the previous video. I use this term regression to the mean. So what that means is everything's always moving towards that average, right? So if you just look at a slate of basketball games, you might have games that end in 20-point margin, games that end in a 5-point margin, but overall it's going to average 11 points. So everything is pushing always towards that average. Now that we know that, let's take that and apply it to when to play the points, or when to take the points, when to play the money line. So if the average is 11, let's divide 11 and a half. What's half of 11? Half of 11 is 5.5. So we automatically know, the way that I'm going to teach this, anything 5.5 spread, we're going to play the money line. Now, the way I'm going to teach this and tell you to do this is let's make it 6 points. So anything 6 points or less, we're going to play on the money line, and here is why. We know that my line is going to be better than the sportsbook line, a little bit sharper. So we also know that if we're playing a +6, more times than not, that means that team's going to be favored via my line and should win at least 50% of the time. So the rule, and we'll apply this to yesterday's games in college basketball so you can see some, evidence that this is the way to do it. Anything less than 7, we play on the money line. Anything greater than 7, we take the points. So we're going to teach some valuable lessons throughout this. So let's dive into it and look here. First game, American and Colgate. We had American favored via our power rankings. They were +17, Colgate -17. You take the points in this scenario. American covers by 3. Next game, big game here, Penn State, Maryland. Maryland was -3. Penn State was +3. Again, it's a +3 line. We know that the average margin of victory in 11 is 11, so that game is going to be always pushing towards that average. The game ended in a 6-point margin. So if you played Penn State on the spread, that was the incorrect way to play it. Should have played it on the money line. Now let's see what the money line was. Now both lost, but I'm going to make a really good point here in just a second. So let's get this money line first. All right, the money line for Penn State was 130. So BetMG had it at +120, 140, somewhere in there. So let's just say 130. So the sharps that understand this concept, if they were playing Penn State, would have played Penn State on the money line. So all of these sharp bettors lost, let's just use $100, lost $100. These squares that thought they had an advantage by taking those points, +3, lost -110. So you say, well, that's only $10. That's not a lot. That adds up. So if that scenario happens 10 times and your unit size is $100, you're going to lose over the course of 10 games like that game, you lose 1 full unit. That happens 10 times in a year, you lose 10 full units simply playing the game the wrong way, structuring your wagers the wrong way. So the big ancillary benefit of doing this is that even though it's a loss on the money line, you're going to save a ton of money by applying this concept. Now, another way to think about it in layman's terms, or in a real world example outside of sports betting, let's say you owned a restaurant and you bought some product. Let's say it cost you $110 and that's what you pay, and you bought a lot of this product, $110. Let's say a supplier came along, a different supplier said, hey, we're a different company. That same product that you're buying for $110, we can sell it to you for $100. Same exact product. You're going to buy it from him, right? I mean, that's $10. And let's say over the course of a year, you save like $7,000 on that product. That's huge, right? It seems small on the front end. Like when you're looking at this game, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that's going to add up so much over the course of a year in sports betting or over a season in sports betting. So that's a big benefit that often gets overlooked in playing moneyline dogs. But case in point, we want to play that on the money line because the points do not help you. Louisville, we had Louisville. I think this line was even via my power rankings. Again, it's North Carolina was -9.5. Louisville was +9.5. It's over that 7, close to the 11, the average margin, so we take the points there. Georgia Tech could have won this game, but again, you have to look at what you're getting point-wise, and that's why I've always talked about handicapping the full pie of this game. Even if we had Georgia Tech favored, now if the line was 3.5, we would have played Georgia Tech money line, right? But the fact that the books were giving us +8.5, we have to be smart, take the points in this scenario. Let's take a look at this Holy Cross. Holy Cross, again, that was 5.5. We would have played them on the money line. Let's see what the money line is. And just while we're here doing a teaching moment, boom, 190. So if you play that on the spread, the max you can make on that is 100. Whereas when you play the money line the way that I teach, and that's one of the sports betting secrets, play money line dogs in all sports, you have the opportunity to basically double your money, risk $100 for the opportunity to win 190. Here's another big one. We had Alabama A&M. I think we had this game either even or maybe Alabama A&M favored a little bit. They cash on the money line. Again, look at the line. It was Florida A&M -5.5, Alabama A&M +5.5. So again, play that on the money line. Let's see what the money line was. Boom, 200. So that one cashes. So look, what I want to do too is scroll down again. There's another one, Maryland Eastern Shore. I think we didn't have either team favored here. Or maybe our line there was no value, but again, Maryland Shore wins money line and at +6.5. So again, that would be an example where you would play that on the money line as opposed to taking the points. Let's look at, again, West Virginia TCU. Look at the average margin. Look, that was a 10-point game. TCU was -4, West Virginia +4. +4 is going to be rare when those +4, +5 games actually help you. Why? Because everything is moving towards that average. All right, let's look at this Baylor-Oklahoma State game, because this is a good example where if you would have played the money line, you would have lost. But I'm going to show you why playing the money line was a smart play here. Okay, so Oklahoma State +5, game with no OT. Baylor wins, so Oklahoma State covers with the 5, but if you played on the money line, you would have lost, which is how I teach based on that scenario. So let's first look at what the money line was. Money line was Oklahoma State +195. Now, and I think my line was -1.5. So this is an important part. So we're not just looking at this going, okay, it's +5. MG said if it's below 7, we play it on the money line. Here's why that would have been was a great play on the money line. Number one, we had them favored via my line. They were -1.5. So we have that working in our favor. Number two, the concept, what I talked about, average margin of victory is 11. It's below the 7. It's a 5, so we play it on the money line at plus 195. The third reason to play that on the money line, they were the home team. In college basketball, we know that the home team will win 70% of the time overall. So I'm going to teach you something. I've taught this in several videos. This is called expected value, but I'm going to make it very simple where you can understand it. Let's say this hypothetical utopian situation where we can recreate this, where Baylor and Oklahoma State play this exact same game, exact same player fatigue, home team, away team, same scenario, everything. They play 10 times. Baylor will probably win 5 of those. Oklahoma State will probably win 5 of those. It's a classic 50-50 game, and the final score showed that either team could have won it. But let's go a step further and let's give Baylor a slight advantage. Let's say in that hypothetical situation, Baylor will win 6 times, Oklahoma State will win 4. So we're going to play the money line all 10 games. We're going to lose 6 of those games, but we're going to win 4 of those. So I've already made this spreadsheet, and you look here. So Baylor wins 6 times. So we lose $600 if they play 10 times based on a $100 wager. But we're going to win 4 times. 4 times 195 is 780. So our profit is going to be 180 in that 10 game hypothetical scenario. So it's profitable long term. A big mistake people make. And I get DMs like this sometimes. And again, I want to make this channel a truth channel and just tell people the correct way. People will look at this game and go, MG, Oklahoma State +5. They lost by 2. You should have taken the points. That's called final score bias, because when you're wagering on the game, you can't look at the final score. You have to place the wager at the sports books before the damn game's played. Okay? So another mistake in doing that is you can't take one game outcome and blanket that over an entire sport to make a point that you're correct. You're just using one game. That's not how this business works. You're just taking a one game sample. A one game sample is irrelevant. You have to look at a sample of all the games. That's why expected value works. And I basically showed you that it works right there. So, again, Seattle was a great example. We had Seattle favored our power rankings. They were a +2.5, no advantage, and taking the points there. So again, square bettors that played Seattle took the 2.5, lost 110. Sharp bettors lost 100. So it's a very important concept to grasp, and this is applicable to NBA as well. NBA starts back up off the All-Star break. So again, just to review, if that line's under 7, play it on the money line. If it's 7 or above, take the points. Very simple way to process it, and you don't really have to think about it. If you want access to my power rankings for all my sports, we have soccer going on right now, NHL, NBA. You get access, $49 a month. You also get access to all of my coaching videos as well. If you want access to all my plays, that's $99 a month, and you get everything I just mentioned. The best way to do it, since we're talking about investments, is to join for the entire year. So instead of paying $1,200 for a year, you can join for $499, and that gives you access to everything on the site for an entire year. Majority of my clients that join for that year learn so much because you're sort of committed to the process. You can access all my power rankings, all the coaching videos. For 1 year, you will drastically improve your sports handicapping. There's a link to join in the description box. If you like this video, give it a like, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.